I don't want to be...
So Marius, I'm doing random interviews of everyone I invited out here to pass out this swine flu awareness flyer, and I just want your reaction to the word swine flu. What's the first thing that pops in your mind?
Well, really just what the media has put out, you know. Until I paid attention to any of it, I really didn't know what that word meant. But I guess now that I've been to the term or the definition that they're giving it anyway, to me it's a nasty word, and it sounds like something that shouldn't have anything to do with people, or at least with, you know, with humans anyway. Yeah, it just, swine sounds like a nasty term, and it doesn't sound like anything that's you know, too, like, you know, livable through. You know, sounds like it might do some harm.
Right on, cool. So what about swine flu vaccine? What pops in your mind when I say that?
Yeah, well, first of all, like I said, the swine thing doesn't sound like it's for people, or it should be. So then when you have a vaccine for it, that kind of a big deal, you know. If you have to vaccinate something that isn't supposed to be out there anyway, then you have a really big problem, because then you have to, you know, try to combat something that has probably either been, you know, created or engineered or whatever from either nothing or from other things. So, you know.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're touching on something very important. I mean, I've read that this is a combination of two different kinds of human flu, a bird flu, and a flu from a pig.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's very odd, you know?
There's so much information out there that leads directly to some form of government, you know, intervention in creating this or helping engineer it or whatever, whether, you know, they did it themselves or whether they paid pharmaceuticals or whatever to do it, you know. Like, I mean, if you go online, there's stories of, like, truck drivers that drive for, you know, DHS that, you know, are charged with, you know, that are not on their payroll, that, you know, get paid under the table, and they drive around these trucks that are refrigerated, sometimes frozen, with different types of, you know, liquids and vials of different shit in them, you know. So, I mean, there's just so much ridiculous information out there that if you just choose to not look at it and really open your mind, then you're just choosing to just, you know, you might as well just get it and just go along, you know,
right on.
Go along with everybody else.
You out, don't worry. And you, sir, enjoying your sandwich? I'm doing a random survey of the people I invited to come out and hand out the swine flu, our anti-swine flu vaccination flyer. And I'm just interviewing people and asking, what's the first thing that pops into your mind when I say the word swine flu?
Absolutely. Don't get your shot. I don't get your shot.
I'd have to say autism.
How about you did get some?
All right.
Don't get your shot.
A thimerosal in your vaccine for
Okay.
you?
Guys, you can Google it. It's really bad.
Kill neurons on contacts.
Cool.
Okay.
And now, the government tells us we should take the vaccine. I say no. No vaccine is going in this body. I am not a guinea pig. Your kids are going to be used as guinea pigs. It is now in the news. Experimental vaccines. People bring in their 3-year-olds. Their 19-month-old children to these clinics. So Google Baxter International. Take a look at the fact that after a number of homeless test subjects in Poland took it for €3, they died. So it's now public. It is now public, ladies and gentlemen. The government has been preparing for martial law for a number of years, and they have also done this in Portland, Oregon. It was called Top Off 4, the biggest anti-terror drill to date in the year 2007. Where Town Potter gained Homeland Security control over our city in this little drill. How was Homeland Security of the federal government going to quarantine Portland, Oregon in a shelter-in situation? The plans have been made. The billions have been spent getting these mercenary groups, Blackwater, and many others ready for the day that they announce martial law in the United States of America. As we prepare to go bankrupt, they have turned our country into a military-industrial complex slave. And they've done this to many other countries in the past. In our world history, throughout our world history, we have seen this type of tyranny before. But Adolf Hitler could only salivate over the technology that our current government has. Even Adolf Hitler with the death camps did not have 1/10, 1/20th of what our government has. It is now already in the news, whether you have read it or not, that H1N1 has been weaponized by the Pentagon. Shortly after 9/11, anthrax was mailed around the country. This was high-grade anthrax made in a military lab. They traced it back to a military lab. What is our government preparing to unleash upon the American people in order to control us? This is what is now taking place. They plan for mandatory vaccines by the fall. Call your congressmen, call your news stations, call the mainstream media, and ask them to investigate this very important issue that affects our health and our future. We beg of you. This affects you, and this is coming quicker, sooner, rather than later.
Does that translate?
Yeah, you see a number of flyers around, and you might want to take a look at that. The government's talking about mandatory vaccines, and I gotta tell you folks, they're doing a national level drill. There are foreign troops in the United States right now from the UK, Australia, Canada, and Mexico. It's called NLE09, Google it. And what you'll find is that there are foreign troops planning to enforce martial law in the United States of America after an economic crash and during some sort of a staged, managed event pandemic, where they quarantine off parts of the U.S., saying you have to take the shot. You have to take the shot to go to work. Find out what's in the vaccines and you'll figure out the government's trying to make you sick. They know that many Marines, U.S. Marines, will not enforce martial law. This is why they're bringing in foreign troops from other countries. If they can have foreign troops from other countries prepared to enforce martial law and put a needle in your arm, maybe put you in a FEMA camp after the government implodes. This is what the foreign troops are for, from the UN, from the World Health Organization. This is now documented. They're going to bring in foreign troops, they're going to keep doing drills, and they're going to designate the American people as the enemy, because they know a day is coming when we're going to be rioting because the economy is going to implode. It is just a matter of time. They gave the banks $24 trillion. This ain't popcorn. This ain't peanuts. We're talking about $24 trillion. So the economic fiscal Armageddon day of reckoning is coming sooner than later. This is what the foreign troops are being prepared for. Today is July 31st, 2009. It is day 4, NLE09, the biggest international drill ever in our country, with foreigners with machine guns walking through American cities. It's documented on FEMA's website, FEMA.gov. State. There has been no change, but there are chains. There are chains, and we'll be left with actual change when it's done. That's the only change.
Occupational specialty, internment resettlement specialist. This MOS plays an integral role in providing a uniform system of handling prisoners and detainees. First and always, these MPs are combat support soldiers trained to fight. Then also trained as internment resettlement specialists to control and supervise detainees, to ensure their humane treatment, and to assist them in returning to a productive life. For this job, the Army will train you to use specialized equipment to monitor activities, to conduct searches, and to inspect areas where prisoners work and live. Here, you'll train to in-process prisoners and detainees, and to brief them on their rights. In addition, you'll train to inventory and secure their property, take photographs and fingerprints, issue personal items, and assign cells. You'll train to conduct prisoner formations and roll calls, to monitor their exercise, recreation, and work areas, to prepare and maintain records, and develop written reports. After your initial entry training and advanced individual training, you'll work long hours, day or night, in a garrison or field environment, where you may practice emergency procedures, detect and confiscate contraband, and escort prisoners outside the facility. Serving in this MOS can help you transition from the military to the civilian employment sector.